Hello folks, Wiley here once again, and today I'm going to do a layout drawing for a covered bridge and then fill it all in with some watered down acrylics. We are using acrylics that are watered down to make them behave like watercolor. Very thin washes, transparent washes. And for this demonstration I am working on a piece of 100% cotton rag mat board rather than paper or illustration board. It works very much like illustration board, but I like this product, which is, again, it's a museum mat board, 100% rag board. I like this product because it slightly absorbs the color a little bit and dulls it down kind of nicely, and I like the final effect. In the middle of a class to do this demo, so I'm drawing this. I'm putting the pencil lines in very strong so that people in the back of the room can see what I'm doing. But of course, at home you want to draw very lightly. You do not want this drawing taking over the watercolor itself. You don't want it to show through as strongly as it's going to for this class demonstration. So let's see. I've drawn in the covered bridge, the stone abutment. Alright, so right here I'm going to put the roof on, which is kind of a trapezoid, little larger on the lower side. Has a little sag on the top due to its age. Alright, so moving on, looks like just going to sketch in a few of the stones, suggest where the stones are, because of course these abutments are made of field stone. And I'm pointing to it, and there's some grassy knoll on the side there, a little grassy embankment. Alright, so I'm starting to establish where the reflection of the underside of the covered bridge would logically be, and unfortunately I have to move this around a few times because I'm not looking at a reference photo. I'm making this up as I go, so you'll see that I move this little reflection around, and it gets a little bit obscured later because, again, I'm not working from reference material. I'm just making it up, and sometimes you make it up wrong. So obviously I had to clean up that mistake. And then I'm re-establishing the shadow and the reflection underneath the bridge. And then I'm going to put in some background trees off in the distance. Again, strengthen them up so folks in the back of the room can see what I'm doing. I'm trying to explain the reflection again, and they're trying to justify where I have it more likely. And again, more trees, more fairways. Alright, so here we're going to put in some posts and some railings so the horse-drawn wagons don't get drawn off the edge and drown in the river. So we put those in. On here I'm explaining that reflection again. I'm still not sure what I'm doing here. Alright, outlining, just emphasizing the borders because someone has asked me about how far out they can paint. So he's put in a few lines. The siding on covered bridges is vertical, so I put in a few lines here and there just to reinforce that idea. Alright, so I'm putting in this embankment on the faraway embankment, and at some point I think that I realized that my engineering is terrible and that my covered bridge is going to fall into the river, so I'm going to move the stone and abutments in a little bit, and I'm going to extend the bridge out a little bit to kind of keep it from falling into the river. And here we go. You see, it's just, it's standing on nothing, so I gotta make that structurally correct. You know, when you're painting, or when you're drawing and painting and making things up as you go, sometimes, as I stated before, you mess things up. So there, I fixed it. Alright, so we're going to start adding a little bit of color in here, and again we are using just 3 colors of red, yellow, blue, and just going to go for it. Mix that bright green for the embankment, which is close to you, and then probably, and that's the faraway embankment, and I'll probably I think that I put the trees in. Yes I do. So I'll put a little bit of blue in with that yellow to make those trees far away, because of course, you know, everything gets lighter and bluer and grayer as it recedes into the distance. So we block those in real quickly. Here I am trying to figure out my reflection again. And it's time to paint that red siding, so we grab some red paint, and I probably have a little bit of yellow in it and the slightest amount of blue to give it, you know, shift it towards a purple, a deeper red rather than a bright red. So we get that all filled in. And here's our reflection. Fill in the reflection. And I'm guessing the stone is next. So I'm probably going to use all 3 colors. You know, you put enough of these colors into the mix and you get gray. Doesn't look like I'm there yet. What am I? Oh, darkening the siding. Using this rag board and using watered down acrylic, sometimes it really does get absorbed into the board, and as it dries, it's a little lighter, and it's a very matte finish. So I end up going back and doing little touch-ups like that, you know, a second coat, that sort of thing. All right, so I've mixed up a little yellow, trying to get a little brown in, you know, or a light cedar color for the roof shingles, because of course that's what they are. They're split cedar shakes. Covered bridge wouldn't have it any other way. All right, and a little bit more color again, a little bit more orange, trying to correct that color. Just layer after layer with these transparent colors, and that way they all show through. They all work together to give you your final product. There's our stone, and that's probably all 3 colors, or I probably used the cedar color and just threw a little blue in it to make it dull. There's the stones, and my guess is next I would do the reflection of the stones in the water. Nope, I'm going to darken it up instead. Alright, so here I'm putting in the reflection of the underside of the covered bridge in the water. Very dark, because of course there's no sunlight up there. I'm darkening up my stones and my stone reflections again. Alright, so here we go with the sky. This is just a little bit of ultramarine blue, or just our regular blue. Probably has not only a little bit of red in it to shift it towards the purple, but the brush is most likely dirty from using some of these other colors. I don't clean out the brush as much as I probably would have when I first started painting many decades ago. You know, I tend to think that, you know, all this color everywhere. It kind of works better for me if I get a little orange in the sky or a little blue in the roof or a little red in the trees. It's all good. So here I am tying the water together by putting a sky, this color of the sky over everything, and it kind of keys all the other stuff together. Makes it look like water. Anyway, that's the theory. So I'm darkening the side of the covered bridge with a darker red, you know, trying to bring it a little bit more solid color. I'm painting on illustration board, so or piece of 100% rag matte board. I forget what I said before, as I'm re-recording, you know, part of this on later dates. So this board tends to absorb color a great deal, so sometimes you got to go back and give it another hit. You know, here we go. I'm reflecting the darker boards in the water, as it would be, as above, so below, as you hear me say. So whatever you do up there, you've got to do down below. Now this part, this little shadow under the bridge or under the roof line, does not show in the water because it's, you know, it's outside of the image. And then, all right, so here we go. Once again, darkening that underside of the bridge where there's no sunlight is. As we've covered before, it must have absorbed in, and I continue to hit it and enhance it a bit. Let's see, where are we? A few stones, suggestions of stones, a little dirt on the banks, a little bit of wave action in the water, and what are we doing here? Scrubbing a little shingle color in the roof. And I'm going to put some trunks in the trees. Oh, and a little bit of enhancing my fence. Got to put a fence there to keep the horses from wandering off and drinking all the water. And taking the wagon and the folks in the wagon with them. Somebody put up a fence. Just a little split rail or something. Some covered bridges have a stone wall that goes up a little higher. Some have the fence. Just depends on the builder, I suppose. So more stones, more delineation of the individual stones. Again, I do not paint every stone, but we suggest that lights and darks to give it the look of the field stone. I think next I'm going to put a few, let's see, little waves in the water. And here I go with the waves. A little dark horizontal banding kind of breaks up that flat surface of any water. Little water flowing through creates these troughs, and you get that little dark. I'll probably come back later with a little bit of white to create the crest of the waves where the water is a little bit bouncing around a rock or something and reflecting the sky color. Here a few more smaller dark dashes, you know, because all the waves aren't really, or all the lines aren't really long. And I'm probably going to blot these out, I'll bet, with my hand because they seem a little dark. Or I must have missed that part, but clearly they're lighter now. So let's see, I'm darkening the cracks between the boards because in the shadow line where it's underneath the roof line, you know, they're going to be a little bit darker. So tiny little bit, enhance it, bring out those cracks, bring out those darks. Oh, and here we go, finally, with our tree trunks and our limbs. Look how simple, holding the brush really loose to keep me from, you know, driving myself crazy with detail. here, some shrubbery around the edges of the embankment. You know, a little bit of grassy, bushy, you know, weeds, whatever grows up along the bank and here in the background. And later I'm going to have to scrub that color a little bit more to get rid of those tree trunks so they don't show through. You know, trying to create the fact that these lighter trees are farther away and then these bushes are closer along the edge. And same thing over here, you know, a little bit different, a little bit smaller. Don't want to make it too symmetrical. As you can see, I'm trying to, you know, make it different on each side. Oh, we're getting there. And little scrubby bushes on the opposite side of the embankment. Now here I go with the white, trying to get those little white highlights in, you know, breaking up that water surface, breaking up those darks. And here I'm putting in some lighter paint in the distance to try to create the effect of the light bouncing off the water in the distance, because you get that light against that stone and it creates a little sense of dimension. Here we got some cattails or grasses or something like that. Again, just trying to break up those lines a little bit. Okay, what's next? So I think in this segment, I'm going to fuss around and do a lot of little dots and dashes and details and sticks and bushes and darks and a little bit of everything. So this goes on for a minute or two here. So I'll just be quiet and let you watch. Alright, so here we're going to work on the sky, so any second now I'm up, and there it goes, it's flipped upside down. With watercolor, you tend not to want to work vertically like this, but in teaching a class, I have to do this, and the water just flows downhill really quickly. So in normal situation where you're doing watercolor, you use a slightly inclined board, not quite vertically like this. And you know, you can control the flow a little bit more. So anyway, here I am. I'm going to warm everything up with some pure orange, which of course, as you all know from kindergarten, is about half yellow, half red. And I feel like it's a little strong, so you see I'm taking the water and I'm flushing some of the color off the board, and I'll probably blot it with a towel or something to kind of, yep, and that's of course what I did. Boy, it's nice to have a memory. And flipping back around, and there you are, it's all warmed up, still a little bit more blotting. And then we move on to the next phase. And of course that means I've got to retone, I've got to put this sunlight, you know, in the places that it would be. So a little bit more orangey in there, and again, more blotting. All right, so here we are down to the last, I don't know, under a minute left. So let's see. In closing, I'm I'm going to darken the trees once again in the background to dull the attention, take away the attention, refocus the attention on the lights. And hit the other side. Here we go. And again, pushing these trees off into the distance. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope this helps you. Those of you that need to go out and paint a covered bridge or a barn or any outdoor scenes. So, as always, thanks for watching.